Alright, I'm Angie Schlotzhauer. Thank you guys for listening to my presentation on growing basil from seeds. So, why grow basil from seeds? Grocery store basil will cost you about $3 for half of an ounce. But if you grow your own basil, you can get 10 to 16 times as much basil leaf for about the same price. Plus, homegrown basil is fresh, it grows abundantly, and it's really easy to grow. The only supplies you need are dirt, water, fertilizer, and seeds. It's very cheap, and I like to call it the beginner's herb because it's very easy to grow. It's very hard to kill. So, we're going to learn how to grow from seeds by first learning how to prepare the location, learning how to plant the seeds, learning how and when to harvest your leaves, and then the watering and fertilizing. So, as you can see in the picture, basil loves a full sun location. It needs 6 to 8 hours of sunshine every day. It grows really well in a garden or a pot, but you have to make sure that the soil is lightweight and nutrient rich. The easiest way to do that is just get a cheap bag of potting soil. It has everything you need. Do be sure that your garden or your pot drains well. You don't want to plant basil in an area that floods. If you have a pot, make sure there are holes at the bottom. So, when to plant the seeds? Missourians can plant basil seeds anytime in the spring, as early as February. You can just sprinkle the seeds directly into the soil, a few inches apart, and then lay a fine layer of soil on top. Wait about 6 weeks before you're ready to harvest. So then, there's watering. You have to water your basil plants almost daily. But if you miss a day and you go outside and see that your basil's kind of sad and wilted looking, give it some water, and a few hours later it will plump back up and come back to life. So that's why it's the beginner's herb. It's very hard to kill. So now you've grown a small stem of basil, but you don't want to pluck the leaves just anyway. There's an easy method for harvesting basil leaves that encourages the plant to grow thicker and bushier, making more leaves. So we'll learn when to harvest and then how. So here we have a basil plant that has about 6 leaves. That is the prime time to harvest. Any smaller and plucking the leaves can kill it. If you let it get much taller, it gets a little unruly. So how to harvest? It's a common mistake for people to see these big leaves at the bottom and want to just pluck them off. But these are actually the solar panels for the plant. So you want to leave those on and instead pinch from the top. It's going to feel harsh, but you have to actually cut the stem above the bottom set of leaves. You're going to feel like you're killing your plant, but it's good for the basil because that little stem will split, making 2 stems, doubling your yield of basil. Pinch the tops of those and they double again, and your plant just keeps getting bigger and bigger, making more leaves. So, now that we know how to harvest the leaves, let's talk about the continued care of your basil through the hot summer months. Basically, food and water. So with watering, you want to keep the soil damp, but don't drown it. If your plant wilts, remember you can water it and it comes back to life. The Old Farmer's Almanac recommends putting mulch down at the base of your basil plant to help trap in the moisture, keep it from evaporating away. And then you have to feed your basil by fertilizing weekly. You can use Miracle-Gro or any other chemical plant food that you can get at a hardware store or garden center. Or if you'd rather go the organic route, you can sprinkle compost from your bin or from a big bag you can buy for about $2 onto the soil, and the water will wash the nutrients down to the roots. So finally, you know the basics of growing basil. So let's review. You need good soil, full sun, about 6 weeks for your basil to grow until it's ready to harvest, and then just remember to pinch from the top, water, and fertilize. Good luck!